Everybody, welcome back to another technically gifted video. We recorded this video and last video back to back. That's why you may see the same attire. Regardless, anyway, 2023 has been a hard year for tech workers, especially software engineers. If you're a little worried about majoring in computer science or pursuing the skills to become a software engineer, I'm going to tell you why you should not be worried and why this pullback is expected and also may be good for your search.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. The first thing it's important to talk about is COVID. COVID sparked tons of growth, especially across these mid-level companies. We were seeing companies double in size. We're also seeing bigger companies have hiring extravaganzas. This means that the already small pool of candidates, since there's not enough to fill all the jobs available already, we're getting paid more and more and more. It was an arms race of money of who can hire the most engineers and at what the highest price. This really is because, once again, there was tons of free money, tons of investors wanting to give it out, so companies had the money to give out to build their products and really focus on growth of their company. But now we're past all of that. There's no more free money, interest rates are skyrocketing up, investors are less apt to give you money if your company isn't profitable. This has led to companies, especially these mid-level companies that doubled in size, to pinching pennies, letting go of workers, reducing headcount, closing offices, committing fully to remote, things like this, because they need to become profitable in order to keep getting the flow of money from their investors. But there's definitely some keywords in there that I said. Mid-level companies. I said this applies to mid-level companies. What you're actually seeing is that a lot of the workers that are let go are still getting hired by bigger companies, filling the gaps that they may have had left over from COVID. But also, there's tons of startups that are still sitting on big piles of cash from this COVID-free money or just any initial investment. And these are the companies that are scooping up great talent right now because they're not really worried about profitability. They're still worried about growth, acquiring talent, and building their products out. This goes to say that even if you are a software engineer and you've showed that you have skills or that you have the potential to be a great engineer, there is still a job out there for you with great pay. And even if you're not buying that there's still startups and every smaller company's hiring, it's important to realize that other sectors of the economy or really the world are still growing exponentially, and these sectors all need software engineers or people in tech. Biggest example, someone has to run the website. Someone has to make the website that you go on for Walmart and click add to cart. That has to be done by somebody, and it's done by an engineer. Another example is when you use your banking website or your banking app, who made that? An engineer. Every field needs technology in this point, especially as AI gets more popular and everybody's having another arms race on, hey, how can we incorporate AI into our products? There will always be jobs available for tech workers because the skills are becoming so prevalent and necessary in the world today. So I wouldn't really bat an eye at the pullback we're seeing now post-COVID. It's just a little bit normal. It's a market correction. I wouldn't think any more of it. Now that I've shown you, you shouldn't be scared by this COVID pullback or any of the layoffs you may have seen. It's important to talk about the type of work that you'll be actually doing once you're an engineer. It's highly engaging. No 2 days are the same. This is because technology advances so fast. What was cool today is no longer cool tomorrow in most cases. It makes the work mentally stimulating because you're always advancing, you're always learning something new and pushing a product forward that's successful for the future and for days to come. What this brings is continuous problem solving. A great example of this right now is like these old big banks. They're accustomed to having their own servers and having these really resilient services run by them in their own buildings. What you're seeing now is kind of a migration to the cloud. They're now trusting AWS or some other cloud hosting source to run these products and services. Somebody has to orchestrate that, and somebody has to make the plan and the purpose and put it together so that that can happen seamlessly, so that you can still make your transfers and use whatever banking application you're using. That's just one example of how the work is engaging and how you have to problem solve day in and day out. There's tons of more examples to show that. Not only that, there's also room to impact society if you're into that, make some good change, opening doors for other people if you really want to. And lastly, it's highly collaborative. Even in a remote-only field, I mean, it's engaging because you're in meetings, having to talk with people and come up with solutions together. Once again, you're constantly problem solving. Now, with all these problems to solve, you may be thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm not that original of idea thinker. This leads me to my next point, that there's actually tons of resources and an ever-growing database of resources that you can use to begin solving these problems, or at least thinking about them. The amount of YouTube videos that are popping up, the amount of TikToks that are popping up is growing every single day. And I mean, it's even getting to a point where you can just type into TikTok a quick search, and in 60 seconds, you'll have an intermediate understanding of a subject matter, even if it's super complex. Once again, resources are endless. It makes this field very career switch friendly because of the resources that are available. People are able to ramp up quickly without needing to go to college, or even if they do go to college, there's plenty of resources to help them succeed through it. I mean, this is also prevalent as the amount of boot camps you see pop up is kind of insane. Once again, the TikTok and YouTube videos are also ever growing. It is very career switch friendly, and if you're thinking about it, I would definitely jump into it. Now, this also means that there's a low financial barrier to entry. Well, important to realize there that I said low financial barrier to entry. You still have to ingrain yourself into it mentally and take it serious. It's going to take a lot of time. It's a big time commitment. Now, it's actually really interesting, my last point, that even though it's so easy to career switch into, that there's so many resources to learn, how great the work-life balance is and also the pay. Now, it's a very big generalization to say that work-life balance is great. I can only speak to my experience, and my experience has been that it is amazing. You're seeing a lot of companies embrace remote first work, but also unlimited PTO, which is huge. Their companies are okay giving their employees in tech plenty of time to recharge when needed and step away from the screen. Now, once again, you don't want to do anything for just pay, but the combination of pay and work-life balance would honestly make anybody that's not even in love with coding kind of deal with it and bear with it day to day. And if you're somebody that's like kind of against, oh, I don't want to work remote, I like the office. I mean, I'm just going to tell you this right now. When you work remote, you have so much more time for yourself. You got to think about the things that you're no longer doing with having to deal with go to the office. I think the biggest example of that is commute time. You're no longer driving and spending maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of your day in traffic getting to and from the office. That's a lot more time for you, yourself, and your family. So once again, I mean, I think you should become a software engineer still in 2023 because there's tons of jobs available. I mean, these jobs won't be filled. There's plenty of articles about that. The second reason being that the work is super engaging. No 2 days are the same. You're always learning something new and driving some sort of innovation in the field, and if not the field, at least in your company. The reason you're there to build something or deal with it is because it hasn't been done before in that company. And then next, while you're building these new things, there's tons of resources, and there's only going to be more resources as time goes on, as the field gains popularity. And once again, with the growing field of resources, this means that it gets easier to career switch into, since your ability to gain the knowledge and learn it is going to be a lot more accessible. And then lastly, the most obvious one that I think everybody sees in these TikToks and videos is that you have great pay and work-life balance. It's amazing. It's a great mix. So thank you for watching. Leave any comments below of reasons you think you should or shouldn't become a software engineer. There will definitely be a flip side to this video of why you shouldn't be, because it's not all glamorous as everybody makes it out to be. Once again, this is a field for everybody to gain knowledge, share knowledge, and keep growing for themselves and their personal journey. So thank you for watching. So don't forget to subscribe and like and leave a comment with any experience that you have or want to share. Thank you.